Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have an update on the number of warships the Russians have in the Azov Sea, Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea. And it seems to be a great number of able warships with many Kalibr missiles, or at least certain kind of missiles they carry. So this article comes from Ukrinform, and it's from today, the 30th of July 2022. This is the title. Russia keeps 11 missile carriers. See where they're going to keep them, right? The enemy warships carrying Kalibr cruise missiles remain on combat duty in the Black Sea on Saturday, July 30th. That's the Black Sea. And he says, and I'm quoting, this is coming from the Ukrainian Navy, issued the relevant report. As of July 30th, 2022, the enemy has the following warships on combat duty. Let's see. The Black Sea. 2 enemy Kalibr cruise missile carriers. I would expect more than that. The Sea of Azov. 7 enemy warships and Coffers continued to monitor navigation. The Mediterranean Sea, 5 Kalibr cruise missile carriers, the statement says. It is noted that throughout the past day, passage to the Kerch-Yenikal Strait was carried out in Russia's interest. To the Azov Sea, 33 vessels, of which 2 were moving from the Bosphorus Strait to the Black Sea, 33 vessels, of which 7 were moving towards the Bosphorus Straits. And so the traffic is monitored by the Russian Navy. The enemy continues to disperse groups of surface ships in order to prevent their damage, introduced an increased level of terrorist threat from the sea, strengthened air defense system, operated the Kerch-Yeisk-Mariupol ferry crossing, and employed the Lavrenti ferry. So they're business as usual over there until they get hit by a harpoon missile or something. And then if the Ukrainians will hit the Crimean Peninsula, then the Russians said that they will really destroy whomever, wherever. Well, I'm pretty sure the Ukrainians will do that by accident or by simply desire and by order, and we'll find out then if the Russians will follow through with what they say. And the Russians have a very high rating on consistency in this kind of matters. Russia continues to violate the 1974 International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLARS, by turning off automatic identification systems, AIS, on civilian vessels in the Sea of Azov. Well, they don't want to be monitored. Like, I don't want to be monitored with my funds either. But what can I do? I don't have the power to do anything about it, right? If you have the power, then you can do that. What are they going to do? Sanction Russia more? Go ahead. On July 28th, 2 Turkish frigates and a submarine also entered the Black Sea. That's a lot of Turkish naval submarines. Probably there are some Americans too, and British, I'm assuming, and who knows who else has over there, to accompany caravans of ships set to carry grain from 3 Ukrainian ports, so the Turkish military. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine said it was ready for possible Russian provocations in relation to grain exports from the Odessa port. Well, they're going to hit military targets, as they said they will, and they said that that was not a violation of the whatever they signed, because they said the military is different than we don't interfere with the grain exports, we interfere with the military. Now, it doesn't have to be like that, you know what I mean? That's one thing that I say and the other thing that I'm doing. But we'll find out, and they're going to be finger pointing. As Ukreform reported earlier, a Ukrainian grain and food export agreement was signed in Istanbul on July 22 as a result of a four-way meeting between Ukraine, Turkey, the United Nations and Russia. Yep, that's gonna be it. I read some articles where they said about this grain transport, that the grain is ready, the ships are over there, but they're afraid to supposedly access the port. That's one thing. The other thing was that they're afraid of the Russians not to hit them. I would be more afraid of the mines that are still in the ports, because the Ukrainians claimed that they cleared the mines. You know, they put the mines around or in front of their ports, so the Russians can attempt an offensive, a landing over there. And that was the reason why the Russians said, you know, we let you guys export that, but take your mines out. And the other guys were, now, we're not going to take our mines out. The minute we do this, you're going to land and invade us. Possible. And then they have now United Nations and Turkey being the monitors of this transfer of or transport of grain. The good thing is that I think that the Russians were also allowed to transport and transfer their grain to the rest of the world, not be sanctioned, because this was one of the main reasons why the Russians disagreed with, okay, yeah, you let the Ukrainians sell their grain, but you don't let us. We will never agree to let them do that. And you know how the whole thing went. The world will be starving and so on, but it's starving, now it's not starving if you keep the Russians, you prevent them from exporting their grain. But that's the grain issue. They have a lot of warships over there, and this article does not talk about the number of submarines that are moving around in the Black Sea. I made a few videos on how many submarines the Russians have, and they're between 4 and 6 that are coming and going, and I haven't found an article yet stating that they used submarines from launching attacks on the southern Ukraine, Odessa or that area. I found articles stating that these warships used Kalibr missiles and other kind of missiles to destroy targets in Ukraine. So I think these ships, in my assessment, are defensive. They have a defensive and deterring purpose, but we don't have any problems with any main power influence or interference with anything in the Black Sea. I haven't read any article stating that the British Navy or the US Navy goes over there and is there in the Black Sea and they do maneuvers and so on. They stay the fuck out of it. I don't know why. I don't know if that's not reported. I'm assuming there are some. I suspect there are some. It's kind of like, oh, really? But they don't dare to come closer to the Russian shore. Like, remember that the British warship that came closer to Crimea, I don't know, about 7, 8 months, 9 months ago, I can't remember, something like that. And the Russians came and shot warning shots at them and so on, fired warning shots. So they have them over there and they're using them. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth and be just.